about this one. Colts at Cardinals. This is a tough one here. You get the Colts coming to town. Cardinals have dropped their past two. They haven't been great at home this season. You got Jonathan Taylor coming to town. That's scary enough for me. The Cardinals are favored by 1 in this one. But Pete, you got faith in the Cardinals here.
I do. And again, I'm going to go back to a theory we've thrown around here all year. Big win for Indianapolis
versus Patriots last week.
They got to go out on the road. Short week, playing on the road. Cardinals coming off a bad loss. They will be refocused. And here's something about the Indianapolis Colts that I'm concerned about. They don't rush the passer well enough. We saw that against Mac Jones last week. In the second half, he stood back there and did whatever he wanted to do. It was easy for him. And I think Kyler Murray will have an easy time throwing the football. Yes, they can run the ball. That's their identity. I get it. But I think that the Cardinals will be much more focused here than normal. I think they're going to win this game, and it won't even be a field goal. I think it's going to be more than that.
It's basically a pick 'em, right? You're talking about a point here. And so I'm going to be on the other side. I'm going to take the Colts. I think they're playing better football collectively as a unit. What concerns me about Arizona is they've physically gotten beaten up the past 2 weeks. That's what we're talking about. It's not like the Detroit Lions are a more talented team. They just physically beat them up on both sides of the line of scrimmage. And that's exactly what Indy's going to want to do on offense, run the football with Jonathan Taylor. And then you look defensively, and I think, yeah, they might not rush the passer well, but I also don't know if that's really your key to success versus Kyler Murray. It sounds crazy, but I think when you rush him, oftentimes teams create running lanes for him. And that's when he takes off and hurts you. So if we're basically saying this to pick him or you're going to give me a point, I'll take the point here with the Indianapolis Colts. My only concern is Carson Wentz. You go back and watch the tape. And by the way, they'll have a week's rest there. It'll be a full week for the Colts. It won't be for the Cardinals. But you go back and watch that tape. There was probably 3 different passes that should have been picked off. Maybe one that should have been a pick six. And none of that obviously went the way of the New England Patriots. So you wonder here if Carson Wentz gets in a tight game, if we see him start to make some of those bad decisions we saw early in the season, but sort of before they just started handing the football off. So I think the difference in this game is the physicality of the Colts. And what we saw the Arizona Cardinals is kind of like a glaring weakness at this point in time in the season for them.
You're bucking my trend. You're bucking the trend of a big game victory and a loss the next week.
I just think we've got a good idea of how the Colts and what their identity is right now. And unfortunately, the identity for the Cardinals is, what have they been the past 2 years?
Right.
They get that second half of the season.
They swoon.
They start to all of a sudden fall by the wayside.
I think they regroup here.
Well, I mean, that's your opinion. I don't think that's going to be the case versus the Colts.
Yeah, that's not what you said when we walked in, but that's a whole other story.
Not about the Colts. There's a chance I can regret this. Cardinals are playing at home. That's about it.
I love the beginning of this so far, especially the way the show started. All right, recapping their picks, so they really only agree in one area, both taking the Packers to cover the 7.5. Pete saying, you take it up to like 8.5 or something
I'd lay it 9 or 10 even in this.
All right, so very confident there in the Packers. But on opposite sides when it comes to the 49ers and Titans and Colts at Cardinals, we'll see who regrets their decision when it's all said and done. Coming up next, we got the AFC East on the line here. Bills at Patriots. The Bills looking for revenge, but can they find it in Foxborough? We'll talk to the guys about that next. Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis. No yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.